My entitled mother-in-law-to-be threw my family heirloom engagement ring down a storm drain. I have seen a lot of crazy people in my life, but my potential FMIL is the absolute worst person I have ever met. I, 30F, have been with my boyfriend, 31M, for 8 months now. For the first few months everything was amazing. He is the sweetest and most caring man I have ever been with. He likes to surprise me with fun dates and flowers for no apparent reason. The biggest surprise of all though was when I met his mother. I met his parents for the first time a few months ago. The first thing FMIL said to me when I walked in the door was, "Are you Jewish?" I am not, and I am not particularly religious, but I was raised Catholic. Once I told her this, it was the beginning of the madness. She immediately stopped talking to me and acted as if I didn't exist. I was extremely nervous about meeting my boyfriend's parents, so this broke my heart. I was determined to make a good impression, so I kept trying to connect with her. This was a huge mistake and I should have just let it go. Once we were all seated for dinner, she finally decided to try and make conversation. I have naturally red hair and she asked me if my parents have the same color. I told that I have the same hair as my mother. She then had the audacity to ask me, "Does the carpet match the drapes?" I had no idea how to respond and just sat there stunned. Seeing my reaction, she said, "Don't worry, I will just ask my son about it later." I looked over at my boyfriend who seemed equally as shocked, but he didn't say anything. She then started to go on about my hair being too curly. She told me that I really need to learn how to run a brush through my hair and think about my appearance more when I am out with her son. Then when I didn't eat much at dinner, she gave me her version of a compliment. I was told it was good that I am watching what I eat because it would be a shame if I got any bigger. This was just my first meeting with this woman. As soon as I got into my car I burst into tears until I got home. My boyfriend was texting me and apologizing for his mother's behavior, but the damage was done, and I told him I needed time to think. He went into apology overload after this and started sending flowers to my office every day and leaving me messages begging me to talk to him. I finally agreed and we went out to dinner. He told me he spoke with his mother about her inappropriate comments and he swore it would never happen again. With this reassurance I decided to give it another chance. Fast forward 2 weeks to when he invited me to come to a family birthday party. This time I would also be meeting his sisters and grandparents. His grandparents and sisters are awesome people. They asked me normal questions about my job, family and friends. His mother seemed to be avoiding me throughout the evening and honestly, I was okay with that. I went to grab something from my purse and noticed that it was not where I left it. I looked everywhere but I could not find it. I went and asked my boyfriend and he began to help me look. He then got a strange look on his face and he quickly went upstairs. I could then hear a lot of yelling begin upstairs. He came back down holding my purse after a few minutes and told me that we were leaving. Once we got in the car, I asked him what was going on. His mother had taken my purse so that she could see my driver's license. She intended to try and run a background check on me. He told me she had told him this earlier but honestly had thought she was joking. I thought that it was best if I avoided any of his family functions for the time being. This worked out great for a while and he went to any of his family parties alone. He would ask me each time before leaving if I was sure that I didn't want to go, but I always declined. Last week his family had their family reunion and he asked me to please come with him. I was very reluctant, but considering there would be so many people present, I didn't think she would pull anything. When we got there, everything was going great. I met his extended family and got to catch up with his sisters. His mother did seem to be shooting me death glares all night, but I brushed it off. Soon she came over and joined a table I was seated at with his sisters and some cousins. The conversation was pleasant as we were talking about his sister's children. His sister has a daughter who is 12 and is the same age as my niece. I then showed his sister a picture of my niece on my phone. His mother took a look at the screen and began to laugh. She told me she hopes that if me and her son ever have children that they don't look like my niece. My niece is beautiful by the way and she is only 12 years old. What kind of monster attacks a 12-year-old child's appearance? This was my breaking point and I went off like a volcano. I started to scream at her and told her she is the most evil person I have ever had to disadvantage to meet. I told her as I ever did have children with her son she can be certain she will never meet them because hell is too far to travel to. I am not 100% certain exactly everything that I said, but from what his younger sister later said, it was epic. She began to play the victim and wailed that I had just misunderstood her joke. My boyfriend came rushing over at this point and she threw herself into his arms telling him I am a horrible woman and he needed to throw me out right now. He told her that wasn't going to happen and to stop making a fool of herself. She seemed to accept this for a moment and sat back down. She just kept sobbing that I just didn't understand how to take a joke. Then something in her snapped as she noticed something that my boyfriend was holding in his hand and began to have another meltdown. I didn't understand what was happening at this point and just stood there watching a grown woman pitch a fit like a toddler. None of what she was saying made any sense to me as it was mostly just incoherent screaming, but I did pick up on many derogatory comments directed my way. My boyfriend then told me we were leaving and told me to grab my things. As I started to get ready, FMIL made a lunge for my boyfriend's hand and grabbed the small box he was holding. She then looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You will never have this ring, you little bee." She ran outside and threw the box down a storm drain. Turns out that my boyfriend was intending on proposing to me. He had just obtained his grandmother's ring while we were at the reunion. His grandmother is completely heartbroken, because now her ring is down a storm drain instead of continuing on in the family as she had always wanted. I don't know where to go from here. I am devastated, confused and exhausted. Can I ask him to never see his mother again? Is that my place to say something like that? I am sorry that my story is so long, but I really needed to get this rant off my chest. Update 1. Unfortunately, it could not be found. The city came out to try and assist, but they could not uncover anything. My fiancé and his family were devastated by this, and many of them have ceased communication with FMIL because of this. The ring had high significance in the family, more than I understood at the time of writing my first post. This was literally the straw that broke the camel's back for many of the family members. His sisters have chosen to keep contact with FMIL, and one of them told me that she is playing the victim card. That she is saying she had a mental break and we all need to be more compassionate and understanding of her. I call this total crap, and I know she knew exactly what she was doing when she threw the ring down the storm drain. I have a theory that the ring never went down the drain to begin with. I think that maybe she hid the ring somewhere on herself and threw the box down the drain. I have no way to prove this, but I have expressed this concern to my fiancé and his family. It's a rather large house though and could be hidden anywhere. I don't think the ring will be found anytime soon if this was what happened. On a happier note, I am now engaged to my fiancé. My engagement ring does not have the same sentimental value as the other ring, but I love my new ring just the same. I am very happy to be engaged and I cannot wait to spend my life with my fiancé. My fiancé is on low contact now with his mother, but word has reached her that we are engaged. After she found out, she apparently refused to leave her room for 3 days. She refused to speak to anyone or eat any food. The drama of this woman is unbelievable to me. Soon after I was told about her condition, I started receiving a lot of strange emails and phone calls. I started getting phone calls from strange men asking me to perform a variety of different sexual things for them. Obviously, I was modified by this and immediately changed my phone number. I told my fiancé what had happened, and he thinks that someone must be giving out my number to men they meet by mistake. I didn't believe that, so I did a Google search of my phone number and found a few Craigslist ads written about me. The descriptions are just too similar to my appearance, they even mention my red hair. I truly believe this is FMIL doing this. She knows how to post on Craigslist as she sells a lot of used things online. I have also mysteriously been signed up for a variety of different dating sites and porn sites. If this is FMIL, then I just don't know when she is going to stop. This is low level to drop to, and I cannot believe how pitiful this woman is. I showed this all to my fiancé and told him about my suspicions. He doesn't think his mother has the tech savvy to be able to pull this off. Then what he said next chilled me to my bones, as I thought his older sister liked me. He said his older sister had mentioned that to maintain a healthy relationship you should be checking your partner's phone daily. She proceeded to tell him there should be no secrets and I shouldn't have a problem showing him my phone when he got home. I was going to ask his sisters to be in my bridal party, and now I don't even know where I stand with them. Do they hate me too? What in the hell did I do to deserve this? I truly don't know who I can trust anymore. I have decided to limit what I tell them going forward, as I currently think they are FMIL spies. For now, I am going to try and enjoy my engagement and put this all out of my head. I guess I will just wait and see what happens with his family. Update 2. My fiancé went no contact with her after everything that happened. This lasted all about a week before she showed up banging at our door. My fiancé was at work and I was alone at home at the time. She was wailing that she was sorry and just wanted to see me to apologize. Since I have neighbors who were beginning to watch this spectacle, I let her inside to talk. At first, she was very apologetic and said she just wants to have a fresh start. She was pretty convincing, and I was actually considering just letting it all go. That's when she saw my Christmas tree and all hell broke loose yet again. She began to scream that I was trying to convert her son to Christianity and that I was just a little whore who was trying to ruin her family. I kindly asked her to please leave and that she was not welcome here, but she was not budging. She told me that no son of hers would ever celebrate Christmas and proceeded to run towards the tree. She began tearing off every ornament and throwing them, leaving them smashed on the floor. I have many childhood and family ornaments on my tree that are very precious to me. Several were smashed in her rampage. I had to grab her and physically drag her away. This ended with her punching me several times and biting me on my hand. I finally was able to throw her out the front door and grabbed my phone to call the police. She proceeded to scream like a banshee out front and call me every name in the book. The police arrived soon after, and just like that she completely stopped her fit and began to try and play the victim. She told the police that I was an intruder in her son's apartment and that I had attacked her. The police had arrived with an ambulance, which was promptly taken to because she was feeling faint and was in distress after my brutal assault on her. The police then came to interview me and I told them what had actually happened. I showed them the bite mark on my hand and the bruises that were beginning to form. My fiancé arrived at the scene and immediately came to my side. He confirmed to the officers that I do live there, and his mother is a nutcase. Seeing that her son was siding with me, sent her into yet another tantrum. The police asked me if I would like to place charges against FMIL. I looked to my fiancé and I could tell that he was conflicted on what to do. I had to do what would make me feel safe in the end, and I decided to place charges. FMIL was first taken to the hospital and then arrested upon her release. She is now facing charges for assault and I have taken a restraining order against her. This has placed a serious strain on my relationship with my fiancé. He and the rest of his family want me to drop the charges against his mother. He tells me that since I have a restraining order, she can no longer come near me, so I have nothing to worry about. I don't think he fully understands how terrifying this experience was for me. He tells me that it is my decision in the end and he will stand by me, but he doesn't want to see his mother go to prison. Part of me just wants to pack my bags and run. I told him that I felt this way and he is begging me to stay with him. He says that we can move and have no contact with his family in the future. I am so confused and conflicted on what to do.